Wow. Wow. What else can you say? What else can I say at this moment in time? Wow. What a film. What a film that was. I've just finished watching The Endless. The Endless. What a film. I tell you what, guys, I literally sat here. Can you hear this? This is the film's literally just finished, and the second it finished, I started recording this because it was fantastic. Oh, what a film! What a weird like trip. What a weird experience watching that film. But oh mate, it's so good. I don't know what to say. I haven't even thought about what I'm going to say on this recording, this review of it or whatever I'm going to do. I've literally it just finished, and I scrambled to get my microphone together just so I could talk about this, like with my mind being so fresh about it. Like, you know, it's that good. I've got to do it now. Normally I'll say I've just finished watching. It might have been a few hours ago or whatever, but it's literally just finished, and I had to talk about it right here, right now. I don't even know what I'm going to say. I just wanted to express to anyone that right. This film, I heard about this film. I listened to a fella on YouTube. His name's Mr. H. He's an English fella. And I've listened to his stuff because he's into Lovecraft. He's into all sorts of stuff, but he does a lot of Lovecraft stuff. And I remember getting a notification on the YouTube, a notification. This was probably, I don't know, probably not a year ago, maybe between a year and 6 months. I really can't recall how long ago it was, but I got a notification, Mr. H's channel, review of The Endless. And as soon as I saw it, I'd never heard of this film, The Endless. I've never, again, you don't hear this stuff. It doesn't get advertised about. All these little indie films, these little indie Lovecraftian type films that get made, you don't hear about them because I don't know whether the information gets lost somewhere, or that they don't think there's a big enough following out there to advertise this stuff. But I heard about it because he did a review of it, and and as soon as I saw that it came up on his thing saying a review of the Endless, I was like, it's got to be Lovecraftian. So I scrambled to listen to his review and listened to it, and he said glowing things about it. And I was like, from that moment, it's similar to what I've said before when I've talked about The Void. As soon as I heard about this film, I was desperate for information. I was looking for anyone talking about it, anyone reviewing it, anything I could read about it, what other people thought about it. And it's the same with this. I've been trying to find a copy of it somewhere. Like, I kept even scanning YouTube, typing in, because you sometimes get films put on YouTube, whereas they really shouldn't be. People do put them on there, and you can sometimes find them. I've been waiting for it maybe to come on telly, or if I knew of anyone that I'm not going to know anyone that's got it because I don't know anyone else that's into Lovecraft type stuff. Jeez, I just realised I'm sort of speeding. I'm speaking a bit quickly. I'm that hyped about this film. It was that good. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Mr. H reviewed it, yeah, and ever since I've heard his review, I've been scrambling to find a copy of it. It's been quite a while, and I still hadn't been able to get a copy of it. So what I did is I just bit a bullet, and I went on eBay and got a second-hand copy of it. And that was about a week ago. I've been trying to get around to sit down and watch it. I've just sat down, watched it, and it's just ended. And let me compose my thoughts a minute. I'm going to pause this and compose my thoughts for a minute and try and not sound so jumbled. I've got to just let me think for a minute. Right, I mean, guys, I just put you on pause for a minute. I did. I should have thought this through. I've got to be honest. I don't think I can do this review as I would normally do it. They're normally short films that are, yes, weird, but easy to describe what's going on. This film was so twisty and turny and weird and quirky and complicated little things happening here and there and confusing stuff. Not in a bad way, but I don't think I can run you through it like I normally would and have it make any sense whatsoever to you. You probably listen to this and just think, and you probably won't be able to follow it because the film is so intricate. And so what I think I'll talk about it. I'll give you a brief run through of events, but I think for my own sanity, it needs talking about, and I need to get it out of me because I've got no one else to talk to about this film, or I've got to get it out of me. Right, so yeah, the film starts right. It starts again, like a few of these things recently, with a quote from Lovecraft. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. H.P. Lovecraft. And then it comes up another quote, and it says, this isn't from Lovecraft, but it says, friends tell each other how they feel with relative frequency. Siblings wait for a more convenient time, like their deathbeds. Now that is kind of fitting for this film as well. The quote that comes up, it says unknown, so I don't know where that quote comes from. I'm guessing these guys don't either. Oh, the interesting thing about this film is, right, the two main guys in it, they were the directors and the stars of the film, and I got to say, they did a bang up job. I tell you, it was really well acted. Everyone in the film did a great job, but these two are the directors and the stars of it, and I thought they just did a great job, really good job. Anyway, back to this. Right, after them two quotes, this film starts with this main guy, one of the brothers, and he receives a package in the post, and he opens it up. It's an old, battered old sort of, like a small cassette, not like a cassette, like a VHS, a small VHS video out of like a camcorder from, back in the 90s. Oh, actually, which is a surprising thing about this, because he opens up a flip phone in present time, so I'm guessing this is probably set, I don't know, sort of early 2000s to mid 2000s maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, I can't think of the specific year when we were using flip phones. Yeah, we'll go with that. It's probably early 2000s to mid 2000s, so I think that's the time that this film is set in. I don't know, actually, unless he's just got a flip phone. I mean, they still do make flip phones. I don't know, actually, I'm a bit confused. The only reason I'm confused, you might think, what a dimlo, but I'm confused because the tape they were sent in the post is an old VHS tape. Now, if this film's set in modern day, and this videotape is from 10 years ago, 2008, even 10 years ago in 2008, 2009, sorry, yeah, wrong year, 2009. Even back then, we weren't using VHS tapes. So this film, I guess, has got to be set early 2000s, which means the 10 years previous that they've sent this tape from, this tape was recorded, it's got to be early 90s, and that fits with the VHS. Oh geez, I think I've gone on too long about this tape. Anyway, you get my point. So yeah. Anyway, it turns out the tape, because he's got the camcorder to play it on now, the tape is a recording of a girl, which I believe these two brothers in the film, they know from 10 years previous. And it's just a film of her sort of talking about this event that they were meant to be a part of called the Ascension, which I believe was going to be the mass suicide, maybe. I don't know if that was an elaborate word for it. And the brothers watch it. The younger brother, he's quite keen on going back and revisiting his life there and the people they knew. And the older brother is dead against it. And I think he elaborates and says that the younger brother maybe has been looking at he hasn't got, should we say that maybe he's got false memories about the place. He's looking at it through rose tinted glasses, and the older brother remembers it not being, very good for him. I'm guessing he's the one that got him out of it. Anyway, long story short, there's a few little scenes where it shows the brothers, they're living a bit of a mundane life. The older brother is perfectly happy with that. The younger brother, he don't seem content with it at all. Hence, he wants to go back and revisit what he feels as happier times at this cult commune thing. And it's at this point we see a flashback of like a news report. Now, when these two brothers got out of the cult, they were interviewed by the press and they gave accounts of what went on in there and that. And so we see a little flash of that, so that to give us some context later. So yeah, the older brother agrees to that. They can go back. He says, just for one night, just to visit, and then we're out of there. And the younger brother's happy about that. So they set off on a journey. On the way there, they stop off at this a memorial on the side of the road, which turns out is the memorial to their mother. They had a car crash when they were younger, right near this commune place. The mother died. Some of the camp members dragged them out of the burning car and saved them. So hence they lived at that commune. They stop at the side of the road and just look at the memorial to their mum. When they're there, there's this couple of weird things go on there. There's these weird sort of stalactite sort of things sticking out the ground. And because they're right near the cult camp, they're all these stalactite things. They're sort of like a boundary around the place. And they're a bit weird. And when they're standing there on the side of the road, they look up and there's these birds all sort of going in a circle in the air. And they look the other end of the landscape and it's the same thing, the other end, the same sort of birds doing the same thing. So it's weird. And yeah, that is sort of the first touch of weirdness. It only gets weirder from there. Anyway, they arrive at the camp. There's a whole host of weirdness happening here. There's this guy that marches past the car, and the older brother in the car recognises him, and he puts his hand up to say hello, but this guy just completely blanks him and marches on past. And they get to the gates of the commune, and there's this weird guy just standing there with this big grin on his face, just staring at him. Doesn't change his expression one bit. Constantly just staring. That's weird. And then they pull up, and a guy comes out to greet them who obviously knows them. I think they know pretty much everyone. They invite him in for dinner, blah blah blah. It's meant to seem like this, but when I was watching it, I was thinking this seems like a great place. I'd like to live there. Nice people, nice surroundings, very welcoming, and I think that's what we're meant to think. And at this they have a dinner. we meet all this whole host of characters, you know, the various different people. There's a girl that does drawings, weird drawings of strange sort of, you know, like she draws pictures of the landscape that they're surrounded by, but there's sort of weird big eyes in the sky watching them, and sort of dark creatures sort of towering over the community, and strange stuff like we see that eventually. And also meet the girl from the VHS video. She's there, so obviously they know her and she knows them. Anyway, they're given a room to stay in. The older brother goes out for a run. He encounters the weird strange guy that's marching everywhere and ignores him a couple more times. You know, a few other sort of strange characters hanging around. And then at night they have they sit down at this campfire and they're all playing games and singing songs, and there's one guy who does like card tricks, and the older brother's watching him, and he says to him, "I think I see what you're doing there." So the magician, he calls him over and does a trick on him, tells him to pick a card, picks a card, puts it back. I think it was the King of Hearts. He puts it back in the pack. The magician dude does something elaborate with his hand, some little trick, pulls it out, the card pops out, and it's the card he picked. And the magician says to the older brother, "Is that your card?" And the older brother looks a bit pissed off with this, and he's like, "Nah, that's not my card." And the magician dude knows full well it is. And he says to him, "Let me show you another trick. This is a pretty cool little bit." He calls him over. He's got a baseball, and he's throwing it up in the air, the magician, just head height, throwing it, and he throws it a bit harder up in the air, and it doesn't come down. It don't come down. And then he gets the older brother, opens his hand up, pulls his hand towards him, says, "Open your hand." Holds it open. The magician sits back, and then the ball just comes down into his hand. I thought that was a pretty cool little. Yeah, it's mysterious. It's so mysterious. I love it. But guys, let me just clarify now that I can't. Like I said, I've got to express it again. I can't do you're not going to get the whole. You're not going to see the bigger picture from me explaining these bits, like saying about these odd little occurrences, because you've got to see it to really get it. So I'm just gonna pick out certain moments of note that I just find sort of mysterious and perplexing, because I don't know what's going on, and of note, you know, something just that I need to sort of get off my chest. So I just wanted to clarify that, so that you don't think that you're going to get a clear picture of what's going on, because I've seen the damn film and I still don't really know what's going on, but I love it. Anyway, one of the main guys in the camp is chatting to the older brother. This guy's sort of the camp leader, you might call him. And it turns out the older brother mentions the video they sent, and he says, "We didn't send a video. We didn't send a video." So who sent it? You know what I mean? Someone or something has lured them back there. The plot thickens. The plot thickens. Anyway, the next bit of mystery that goes on is they're playing this game. He calls the camp leader calls it the struggle, and what it involves is a very very long piece of rope. They're standing near this fire pit, and they chuck it into the darkness of the woods. And then you grab hold of the end that's near you and you pull. I don't quite understand what he's trying to achieve. I think it's just whether you can retain hold of the rope and pull it to you. It's a bit like tug of war, I suppose. But what's mysterious about this is when he chucks it in and then starts pulling it, the other end of the rope is suddenly, whereas it's laying on the floor and he's, you know, the other end of the rope suddenly is like it's leading. Well, there's either the mystery of this whole film is either that there's some creature, massive creature or something in the woods that's holding on to the end of the rope, and it's massive, and this rope is in its hand, and its hand is as tall as the sky, or what? I don't know. But at one point, it looks like you can see the moon in the background. It looks like the rope is leading up to the moon, or is the moon like, I don't know, with one of this creature's eyes? I really don't know. It's mysterious. It's confusing. But again, it's good. It's in a good way. I love having to scratch my head and say, what is going on here? And I'm definitely doing it at this point. But anyway, this camp leader pulls it, and he succeeds. He pulls the rope, and he gets the younger brother to have a go. And the younger brother fails on the first one and gets pulled in a little bit. And then he has another go. He ties it around his waist, and he pulls and pulls and pulls, and he does it. And he sort of succeeds in the struggle, or whatever this is. The older brother inevitably has a go, and it gets ripped straight out of his hands, and he gets flung sort of towards the woods, and he's got like a cut on his hand. I don't know if this is because he is a non-believer in their religion or what, and the younger brother is possibly got a, he's a little bit, he buys it. I don't know. I think it's about how much you believe. I think. Again, this is all speculation on my part. I'm not really sure. You'll see when you watch it. Anyway, on to the next strange bit of mysteriousness. Which is when he's getting his hand bandaged up because of the cut on his hand, the older brother, the girl that does the paintings of the monstrous sort of paintings, she's sort of tending to his wound, and the camp leader comes in, and he's like, it's really creepy because he just stands there lingering and going, he's sort of saying, you two are getting on well, have fun, won't you? And he just sort of stands there staring at him. And I just thought that was a bit, that's very strange and all. Anyway, the older brother sort of gets a bit creeped out by this, and he's like, right, okay, dear, thanks, I got elsewhere to be. Which you would, wouldn't you? Anyway, the younger brother, the older brother and the younger brother are taking a little stroll, and the younger brother makes it clear that he wants to stay a little bit longer, so the older brother agrees to that. And then there's this little mysterious, I can't even bloody talk properly. There's a mysterious cabin that's all chained up. There's this fellow with a beard having a pipe outside it, and one of the dwellings in this community is like a cabin. It's all chained up with this massive padlock and chains and that. And it's weird because when I ask him what's in there, he says it's like rowing equipment or something. It's clearly not, is it? So at this point we're like, well, what is in there? Just another little mystery. We'll get back to that later maybe. But yeah, that's just the mystery. Yeah, so just strange little bits like this dotted around that leave all these breadcrumbs of like mystery. Like another mystery, they keep encountering these. Somebody keeps putting up post-it notes all over the place, asking people to be quiet. And that turns out to be, you see a lot of them all over the place. And it turns out that it's the person that's leaving these notes is a woman that's staying at the commune, but she's not involved in the cult. She's not a believer or anything like that. She was out hiking with her husband, and he went missing near this area, and they've took her in so she can sort of look for him, and I think they've promised to help her. So she's very skeptical about all this stuff going on at the cult. So it's kind of, when the film had finished, this bit with the girl that's looking for her husband, I didn't see the impact of that. It was kind of like a little glitch. It didn't really have any impact on the rest of the film, I found. Again, it's just, yeah, The next mysterious scene is the two brothers are shooting bottles with a gun. The bottles are on a gatepost, and the younger brother's shooting them. Bang, 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 shoots and the glass breaks. The older brother has a go, and the bullets, he's aiming directly at the bottles, but the bullets don't get through to the bottles. They're falling onto the floor, onto the dirt floor between him and the bottle. And he sort of goes over to examine the bullets that fall on the floor, and they've clearly, the bullets have, you know, compressed into themselves because they've hit something, but we don't know what this something is. It's hit something, some kind of barrier, some kind of thing. So that's a mystery. What's the next mystery? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This bit harkens back to something I was talking about a few weeks ago with the missing persons cases. If anyone listened to this, the older brother spots that guy who marches everywhere and ignores him, and he calls out to him, and this guy's walking away from him. He runs to him. This guy just turns a corner, and the older brother catches up to where he should be, and he ain't there. He's just gone, and the only thing left are his shoes. Now that is, when I was talking about them missing persons thing whenever, you know, the video I did a few weeks ago, I can't remember when it was, whatever, months ago maybe. Yeah, that's one of them things in that is when people go missing, their shoes are left behind. You know, they get found without their shoes on. So I remember when this happened, and somebody mentions this later in the film about getting snatched away, and they'll snatch you away from your shoes. I thought, wow, that's weird, because that's weird. Anyway, and then the older brother carries on his run, and he gets to this point in the woods, and he hears this big bang, and it sort of shocks him. He's like stops, and he's like, what the hell? And then it pans around, and you see a shot of the sun, and the sun, it like flickers out and then flickers back on again like a light. And when he looks down, there's all these photos. The older brother looks down, there's all these photos on the floor around him. They're photos of a lake with a buoy or a buoy, is, you know, it's a marker in the lake that floats. And it's a photo of that. I didn't quite get what, at that point I was like, what is going on here? It was so weird. Oh, and there's a tree behind him, just falls over on its own, as if my first thought was there's some sort of huge creature walking towards him, but yeah, that. Anyway, he shows the photo to the camp leader, and this camp leader says to him, like, all the things you're confused about, all the mysteries. He said, you go to this point in the lake, dive down directly where this floaty thing is, and what you find at the bottom will answer all your questions. Oh, one thing I forgot, sorry. Just after the older brothers found this photo and the sun's flickered out, the camera takes us round through the bushes, and there's this operatic music playing on about a 5 second loop, and it keeps playing for 5 seconds, then repeats back to the beginning, and then repeats back to the beginning, and then repeats back to the beginning. As we hone in, we come onto this like an old-fashioned tent, and there's a clock on the tent, and it keeps doing 5 seconds and then back to, it's like time resetting itself every 5 seconds. And you see this figure in the tent sort of runs from one end of the tent to the other, and then you hear like a big, like some sort of thud at the 5 second mark, and then it's reset, and he runs again, and he runs again, and he runs again, and the clock resets, and the clock resets, and the record plays over and over again. It's, again, I was like, what is going on? What is this? What is this? Again, so it's just another isolated mystery bit. But it's looking, at this point in the film, I'm thinking there is some sort of time vortex, or it's, I don't know, they're stuck in a time loop. Now at this point I was thinking, well, are some of them, is everyone stuck in a time loop, or do the time loops vary in the amount of time that, you know, they're looping back on? Because this bit with a tent, it's like five, this is a 5-second loop. I don't know. At this point I say I don't know. The next thing we see is a outside shot of the older brother talking to the, I think I just mentioned, yeah, the camp leader about the thing, the photo. But what happens there again is they look up in the sky and there's two moons. And well, my first thought was, is there something going on there where they're actually on a different planet now or something? Or yeah, I don't know. Or maybe like I said earlier, maybe there's two moons. Maybe they are a pair of eyes or something. You just don't know at this point. Oh, and just after this bit, there's a scene which made me smile, because the magician guy is sitting around a campfire, and I think his words were, Tolkien said it, Lewis said it, Lovecraft perverted it. So they mentioned Lovecraft. So obviously Lovecraft exists in this universe, the universe that this film's set in. I thought that was quite good. But I don't know what he was actually talking about when he's saying Tolkien said it and Lewis said it and Lovecraft perverted. It's never really explained. I think maybe I don't know. It's just a nice little moment where they mention him. Anyway, what's the next bit of weirdness? Oh yeah, this bit, yeah. Right, the two brothers are out on the lake, and they are right near the floaty thing. From the picture. Yeah, so the elder brother strips off, dives down, and he comes back up. The younger brother doesn't know what he's doing, and he dives down. He comes back up like a minute later or whatever, and he's panicking. He's got a box with him, like a metal sort of toolkit, like a box. Yeah, and he dives into the boat, and he's like, "Get out of here, quick! Dude, row! He's got to get hold of the oars and row." And he says, "There's something down there. There's something down there," and he's terrified. It's a good sort of, it's a good little tension moment, because for me, I'm sort of scared of water. I'm if I'm in the sea or something and I see a dark shape, I panic like you wouldn't believe, because the way I see it, when you're in the water, your legs are just dangling there as food for something that may want to take a bite out of you. I know that sounds extreme, but you think about all the things that are in the ocean that can kill you. Yeah, it scares me. So this scared me a little bit. Yeah, it scared me even more when the camera pans out like from above, to show the boat, and it sort of pulls up and it shows the whole lake, and there is this huge dark shadow shape thing under the water, and we don't know what it is. It doesn't explain it. It doesn't tell us anything. We're just left to wonder and look at it and think, what? I mean, is it a creature? Is it, I don't know what it is. And it never addresses it really. But it's a good little moment. So what is it? Anyway, so they watched the whole camp together in this communal room. They watch what's inside this box, and it's a tape. It's a tape, and the camp leader says this is how the higher power, or the entity, or whatever it is, he says this is how it communicates with them, which is, I mean, does it send a tape every time at the bottom of a lake, or it's never clarified what it means by that? But if I take it literally, then yeah, every time it communicates is by tape at the bottom of a lake. Anyway, what's on the tape is, and I didn't spot this straight away because they look very different, but it's an old video of the two brothers when they were in the cult before. They look very different, and they're talking to a guy on camera named Mike, and you have to remember this Mike because he pops up later in the film. But they're trying to convince him to join their cult, blah 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 blah. And then when it's finished, there's a sort of a. And I didn't get this bit because I thought in the tape they're just talking on behalf of the cult. But when the tape finishes, there's a strange atmosphere, almost as if they've done something wrong, and they seem embarrassed and they rush outside, and the camp leader follows them. At this point, it transpires that the older brother had told the younger brother a few little lies about what about the cult. Like he said, the older brother told the younger brother that all the members must be castrated, which is a bit weird. But it turns out that's not true, and it's the older brother's way of trying to get his younger brother away from it, which he succeeded 10 years previously. Anyway, the younger brother finds this out and gets very annoyed with his older brother, and then the older brother and the camp leader have a bit of a ding dong, a bit of a harsh words, and the camp leader tells the older brother he's got to leave. So the older brother wanders off to his car, and it won't start. I think he's left a light on or something, and it won't start. This is a little bit of a weird bit. Again, do you remember? I don't know if I said that. Did I say that? I can't remember what I said now. Anyway, these sort of stalactite things that are sticking out the ground that are all surrounding the boundary of the camp. The older brother is standing near those when he's got out of the car, and he sees a snake on the floor, and he jumps back. Like, oh whoa, it's a snake, and he jumps back. And when he jumps back, in the process of jumping back, he goes outside the boundary of these stalactite rock formation things, and the snake instantly disappears. Oh, sorry. I just pressed play. I'm having to go through it to remember all the specific points I want to talk about. But yeah, so clearly when you go beyond this boundary of these stalactite rock formations, you're either in a different time zone, or you're in a different dimension, or I don't know. I don't really know what to make of that, but or whether inside the boundary you're in some sort of illusion thing and the snake's not really there and he stepped out into the real world, or what. I don't know. When you watch it, you'll have to make your own mind up, because I can't do it for you. I can't even make my own mind up. So anyway, next thing, the older brother finds himself at this rundown old shack, and he goes to the door and asks, I think he's a bit disorientated and lost, and he goes to the door and he knocks and he asks for help, because he's lost, and no one answers. So he sort of pokes his head in, and there's a flipping guy, and it's the guy that had been marching, the guy that ignored him, that one that's lost his shoe, he got took and vanished and his shoe was left. It's him hanging from a rope from the ceiling, so he's dead. And this bit's a bit bizarre, because the older brother's like shocked and like, oh my god, dead body. Next minute, the same guy who's hanging dead appears behind him, comes in at the door, and he goes mental at him. What are you doing in my house? What you stealing my bike or whatever? And it's like, hold on a minute, this this guy's hung himself in the middle of the room, but now he's standing there behind him. But it's not as if the hanging body's disappeared. The hanging body's still there. Anyway, they sit down and have a chat, and the brother actually says, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know how I'm sitting talking to you when you're hanging dead in that room in there. And the crazy guy, I think in this film his name's Shitty Carl. I think that's his official name, Shitty Carl. I think we established that later on. But anyway, he's ranting and raving, and he says something about the dickheads up in the camp, in the religion, in the cult, living in a, like, I think he confirms what I was thinking earlier. Like they live the same thing over and over and over again. And he says at one point, he says it's for that effing thing's amusement. So he's talking about the higher power, the entity thing, whatever the bleeding hell it is, because and oh yeah, and then he says something about like I was saying earlier, the amount of time that gets repeated. That the ones in the camp are obviously living this long stretch of time that gets repeated, and he says things like something like, hell, some of them get shorter. Like there's different areas around the camp that have, like we saw with the tent earlier, the guy in the tent, the figure in the tent was living a 5-second life cycle and repeat. So again, it's just head scratching. What you'll find out, you'll see. And anyway, this guy says, he points to the dead body of himself, and he says, you've got to kill yourself before the restart, otherwise this entity will do it for you. And he says it's a lot worse than if you do it yourself. So I say it's just so mysterious. I don't know. Oh yeah, this bit harks back to the bit where the same guy disappeared and his shoe was left there behind. I don't know if I'd made it sound like it earlier, but I didn't click with the missing persons cases then. He says at this point, he's waffling on about some of this stuff, and he says it'll snatch you right out your shoes. And that was at that point when I was watching it, that's when I went, oh shit. And it was such a reference to the David Paulides missing persons 411 thing. Oh, sorry, this is completely off topic. That David Paulides missing 411, I think in that video I said the 411 was a reference to how many people have gone missing. It's not. I'm an idiot. It's a saying, isn't it? If you get the 411 on something, it means you get all the information about something. Yeah. I realised after that I'd made a mistake there. I mean, whoever's listened to this may not have heard that and might not know what I'm talking about. So I'll get back to the film anyway. Yeah, it says he'll snatch you right out your shoes. Yeah, weird. What else does he say? Oh yeah. He says to him, the Shitty Carl says to the older brother, you need to get unlost, because the brother's told him he's lost. He says you need to get unlost, and you need to get beyond the borders before the reset happens, before the time loop resets. Otherwise you'll be stuck as shit forever. And I think it's when there was 2 moons earlier, there's a third one appearing like a crescent, and it's getting fuller by the hour, by the minute probably. And I think the crack here is once the third moon is full, that's when this reset will happen. And now the clock's ticking. They've got to get gone before the reset. But the problem is he doesn't know how to get out. He's lost. What was I saying? I'll pause you then, guys. I was just trying to keep track of what was going on. I can't remember what I was saying then. I paused you for about 2 minutes. Anyway, forget that. Right, this crazy shitty Carl geezer says he'll help him getting lost. He says he's got to get out, but he wants something first. He wants him to do something for him first. He wants him, and this is a bit, I don't get this bit. He tells him about this crazy drug addict guy that lives in the woods in a cabin, and he keeps guns. And this shitty Carl wants the older brother to go into the woods and get one of these guns for him and bring it back as a gift, and then he's going to help him out. He gives in, and apparently, when apparently the scenery changes. This is why this older brother's lost. And this Carl says the scenery changes, it flips it on you and confuses you. And this shitty Carl, that's his name, shitty Carl. He gives him a compass, and he says, you only follow this compass. I don't care what you see, what you think you know, we think you know where you're going, don't believe it. He said, just follow this compass. So he gives him that. Yeah, so long story short again, he goes into the woods, follows the compass, he finds his cabin, he goes in, and there's this guy chained up inside, like handcuffed. And this is this druggy geezer. And he seems pretty normal. It's weird. He seems pretty normal. He's not a part of this cult thing. And then suddenly, in come behind him, through the door with a baseball bat, looking a bit threatening, is this, I said earlier, the video of the two brothers from years ago trying to indoctrinate this guy, Mike. He turns up behind him in the door. And they talk, and they realise that they're not a threat to each other. But these two in the cabin, Mike and this druggy geezer, they're in the time loop. This confused me a little bit. This bit. Oh yeah. There's a bit where the guy that's tied up, handcuffed, he's talking to the older brother, and he's saying, this entity thrives on fear. It wants you to be afraid of it and scared of it. And he says, you've got to get the hell out of here. And on your way out, if you happen to see it, you don't show fear, you don't bow down to it, you don't do anything, you just run. Yeah, that's what he says about it. But like I said, like the other guy said, he says that he just affirms the fact that you've got to get the hell out of it, or else you'll never get out. And these guys are obviously living the same. I think they live in the same time loop, but they remember. I think. I'm not even sure about that. I don't know if they remember, but anyway, he needs to get the hell out of there now. Yeah, and it's at this point we change. We're following the younger brother now, who's wandering the woods, and he, remember I said about the old-fashioned tent with the 5-second time loop? He stumbles across that, and the music's still playing, and the clock's still ticking, and the figure's running across. But so the younger brother walks up to the tent, and you see that it's a guy dressed obviously in old-fashioned clothes, and the 5-second loop is him getting off of a chair and running across the tent, but you don't see what happens. This thud where he dies or whatever, I don't know. You don't see it. What happens? And the brother's watching it, and he's sort of like, doesn't know what to make of it. And the guy who's actually experiencing the 5-second time loop, he just looks like knackered, like he's at his wit's end, like. So so he is. I'm pretty sure at this point that they're conscious of the fact that they're reliving the same thing over and over again. It's not as if when time resets, they sort of, it's not like a Groundhog Day situation where they, you know, don't know they've lived it. I think they know, because it shows you this guy's 5-second time loop over and over and over again. And then at one point, because the brother's at the window watching, this character spots him and runs towards the window instead of the other side of the tent. And he looks at him and he says, "Don't stay here." And then he runs the direction he was going in anyway. No, hold on. No. He says another thing. He says something like, no, I couldn't quite make it out. I think he says, "You can't help us, just leave before it." Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he says. And then he sort of runs in that direction that he was running in before. Oh, hold on. No. He does. He runs at the window that the guy's looking, that the younger brother's looking through. And at that point, you see he just, but like blood goes all over the window. And I don't know what's happening there. What's he running into that's making him die every? Oh, hold on. Right, hold on. No. Oh, this is so confusing. Right, okay. He's in a 5-second time loop. At the end of that time loop, right. At the end of each individual's time loop, remember they've all got different lengths of time loop, and this shitty Carl said that it'll kill you at the end of the time loop, so you've got to do it before. Right. So this guy's on a 5-second time loop. He runs across the tent, and by the time he gets to the other side of the tent, his 5-second time loop's up and he dies. Right, I see it now. And because he runs towards the window at this moment we're watching, the younger brother's watching, you see him die. Okay, I've just worked that out as I'm doing this. I didn't get that before. There's a lot I didn't get, and I still don't get, but that bit I think I've just worked it out. Anyway, on to the next mystery. Let me find out what it is. Yeah. Right. Okay, we're back with the older brother now. And he's talking to Mike outside the cabin. I think he gives him a gun inside a box, which is what the older brother he's gone to collect. And they're chatting, and Mike, he says goodbye to him, and he walks back into the cabin with some petrol in a jerry can. And he just pours it all over the porch, and he sets fire to it and just stands letting himself burn. And the older brother's like walking away, and he turns round to have a look, and he realises it's on fire, and he's sort of shocked. And as he's watching, he turns around and sees the fire. He's watching, and then suddenly their time loop comes back, and the house suddenly is not on fire, and this Mike pulls up outside, walks over, and there's this crazy druggie sitting on the porch with a gun, and they have an interaction, say, "Oh, it's Mike," blah, blah, blah. And this is the start of their time loop again, which actually, to be fair, is a bit confusing with whether they know they're in a time loop. Again, that slightly contradicts it. Again, oh God, it's making my head swell. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just explaining to you what's happening. You can watch it and make your own mind up. Right, okay, yes. And after that scene, the older brother comes across this like a caravan parked on the mountainside, and then his younger brother just turns up out of nowhere, and they're sort of reunited. And as they walk off, there's a projector screen, and it plays a video of just what we'd just seen, the two brothers reuniting. And they walked off, and you see this on a projector screen. It plays, and then within that screen, it plays you see the image again on the screen of the screen, and then it does it again on the screen of the screen, and it plays out like that for about 4, almost like it could be I was going to say endless. But it's right in with the title of the film, then endless. Like an infinite sort of... Oh, Christ, I don't even know if I'm explaining this right. Oh, God, I know what I mean. You know what you mean when you see it. You know what I mean. Anyway, that thing is playing out on the projector. And suddenly, the projector thing gets... You hear like a growl, and the projector gets knocked miles into the distance, and it shows you like the panoramic view of the scenery. And this is a bit weird because it shows you this big plain area with mountains around it, and you can see different sort of domes of sort of wavy light, which I'm gonna guess this is showing that there are multiple different areas of, I don't know. It may be, hold on, right, okay, I might be getting this right now. Maybe each different dome we can see in the landscape is a different one of these different time reset zones. So maybe each dome, that when they wander into it, where the brothers have been in a few of these, and like say for example the old-fashioned tent where the fella gets a 5-second time reset, maybe he's in one of these domes, and the Mike in the cabin were in a different one, and Shitty Carl is in a different one. Yeah, maybe they're all... Christ knows, I don't know. It's a mystery to me. But there you go. Anyway. Oh, I'll tell you what, if some of this does sound confusing when you listen to it, I apologise, but the film is so confusing. It's bending my head completely, utterly, completely. And I've never talked so much in my life anyway. I've been going for about an hour now, I reckons. Right, on to the next. The brothers go wandering back to the car, and on the way they the first thing they casually come across is this like huge iron or steel structure of like a Chinese dragon sticking out of the ground, and as far as I can tell, no explanation for it. And then the next thing they find is this like a, I don't know if it's a rock formation or like this shape of, well, yeah, rocks, I think, just sort of jutting out of the ground, and it almost looks like a face with 2 holes for the eyes. And I think it's actually, this picture is on the back cover of the DVD, and I remember looking at that and thinking, you know, what is that? And even now in the film, there's not really an explanation for what it is, but you just have to use your imagination, I suppose. The next, and then they come across like, it's like like an Indian totem pole, but with sort of like an all-seeing eye on it, and some other weird sort of images. Well, I mean, I say totem pole. I don't know if that. Yeah, I don't know if you would class it as that. But as soon as I saw it, I thought totem pole. Anyway, whatever. While all this stuff's going on, where the brothers are taking a walk back to the car, and they find all these strange sort of, you know, monuments and imagery or whatever, it's intersliced with images of the other people at the camp sitting round at the table, and they are clearly getting ready for something. They look a bit somber, and they look almost like they're saying goodbye to each other, and they're holding hands, and they're obviously knowing that they're about to be reset. Their timeline is about to be reset. So we see that, and this is a bit weird because I was watching it thinking the brothers are surely pressed for time. They need to get out of this area. Their life depends on it, almost. And as at this point, they get back to Shitty Carl's barn or whatever, where he lives, and the younger brother suddenly wants to have a chat. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute, you need to get out. You need to get out now when he wants to have a chat. And so the older brother's like, no, you talk to me on the way. And he's like, no, I need to talk to you. So he's like, he reluctantly agrees, and they sit down and chat. It's like, come on, you've got to move with a purpose here. But what they talk about is the younger brother says he wants to stay. And he's sort of, you know, the older brother's like, but you want to live your life on repeat from here to eternity or something like that. And the younger brother's almost making point that the crappy, well, the seemingly crappy life they have back in the real world, the younger brother is saying that they're on repeat anyway. They just get up every day, do the same job, do the same things. So, you know, he's comparing it to their everyday life. But yeah, the older brother sort of he resigns himself to the fact that younger brother wants to stay, and he says, okay, let's get you back to the camp then. So they leave Shitty Cow's barn. Oh, well, the older brother, sorry, he went to get a gun for Shitty Cow, didn't he? So, but he's put the gun on the table. So they leave Shitty Cow's farm, and just as after they're gone, the barn door slams open and Shitty Cow comes out, and he's like, oh, Christ, you know, I'm back here again. And then he sees the gun they've bought for him, and he's happy. He just picks it up, smiles, shoots a few bullets up into the trees and that, to where the thing resides, the creature, and looks happy with himself, and then he just shoots himself. And then like a second later, he comes out, you can hear the sound of him coming out of the barn again, going, ah, shit. It's pretty funny. Anyway, the brothers get back to the camp, and they find it deserted. There's no one around except a woman. I think it's someone gets past them on a bicycle. And then they realise that everywhere else, the table that the people were sat at before is empty. There's just no one around whatsoever, which is weird because, I mean, have they already died? What? Have they already been reset? Or have they killed themselves in this, you know, mass suicide, which is kind of, you know, how they got the name, the death cult. Yeah. Oh, no, hold on. Oh, Christ, the bearded fella. If I mentioned him, I can't remember if I mentioned him now. He is standing next to the shack that he said they keep rowing equipment in. Sorry, yeah. And that they see him, and he sees them, and he sort of exaggeratedly does his movement where he takes off the padlock of the door and then walks away, and it's almost like he's inviting them to go and have a look. So they go in and have a look, and what's in there is like, it's just absolutely rammed full of like old film with different, you know, dates on it, like from the 40s and 50s or whatever, probably predating that. But yeah, there's just loads and loads of film in there, old film. And in the centre of the room is this an really old telly, an old TV, and it suddenly starts playing, and it shows them video of themselves doing all the different things that they've done since they've been back there. Pardon me. For example, like them pulling on the rope in the struggle game, and then there's a shot of the baseball being thrown up in the air, and you see it from the view of the air where the baseball sort of gets up close to it and just hovers. A close-up video of the older brother when he's in the lake picking up the box, and him sort of looking terrified. And then it shows a video of the campfire area they've got. Like, it's like a sort of big circle of like a dug down a bit with fire in it, and all the camp members are standing around it, looking up in the sky, holding hands. And suddenly this like length of rope just comes flying down. And it's at this point the younger brother goes, he shouts like, "No, no!" and runs outside to where this. I don't know if he thinks they're there now, but he runs outside, and there's no one there. And it's just this flaming fire pit that's sort of gone out with loads of smoke coming out of it. So they sort of stand there looking for a little while, and then they sit down, and the older brother says to the younger brother, "Look, if you're staying, I've got to stay. I've got to stay as well. I'm never going to be able to live with myself if I leave you here." And they have a little heartfelt chat. And the younger brother, he's like, "Okay, you know, if that's how you feel, let's go." And the older brother's like, "What?" And it's like, it turns out that the younger brother just wanted the acceptance of what he felt and what he wanted, to be accepted by his brother. And his older brother does that, and so he says, let's go. And it's just at that moment that they're talking that this like huge noise, roaring, or just this noise, this loud noise comes out of the forest, and this sort of like swirling light racing towards them, and they don't know what it is, and they just get in the car as quick as they can and just start driving out of there. Oh, actually, no, they don't. The car won't start, so they have to push it. They have to jump start it. And this was weird again, because they're having a chat whilst they're pushing the car along. They're both standing outside the car, pushing, leaning in, and they're having a chat. And I'm thinking, you could be pushing harder than that. They don't seem like they're trying to get out there as quick as they can. I tell you, I'd be going quicker than that. But they're chatting while they're doing it, and this huge light and swirling stuff is all coming up behind them and getting closer, and they've got to get beyond the boundary before the reset happens. I've got to say, it did annoy me a little bit. This bit annoyed me a little bit, because I'm just thinking, this ain't the moment. I know that maybe they're thinking they're going to die and they need to say all this stuff, and they tell each other they love each other, and and all this stuff. But I felt an urgency in me. They got to get out, and they weren't. How they were acting weren't sort of correlating with that, So it annoyed me a little bit, but it's only a slight. But anyway, they jump. They get the car started. Can't bloody talk. They get the car started and boot it out of there. And yeah, as you see them, actually, getting out of there behind them, you see it's almost like the apocalypse happening. It's like a flipping nuclear bomb's gone off or something, and everything's swirling lights and lightning, and it's getting closer, and yeah, it's just the end. And as they're driving, they're getting towards the boundary, and you can see it. It's almost like a sort of mirror, like a glass, like the domes they're in, like a mirrored effect, sort of like a dome. You can see it shimmering. And as they're getting closer to it, you see a few birds flying that way, and they sort of dum 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 hit the barrier, and you're thinking, well, are they going to get through this, or what? Are they going to what's going to happen here? Now, anyway, they do get through it. They do get through it. But afterwards, I was thinking, well, hold on, why didn't the birds get through it? And my thinking was, maybe obviously the birds are probably living their life on repeat as well inside the dome. That's the only solution I could come up with, and they couldn't escape it, because they're part of it. They're bound to it forever now. Yeah. When they make it through it, when they go through it, everything goes to black. I did sit there thinking, is that going to be? I was like, it went all quiet, and I was like, is that the end? Are they just going to completely leave it on a, did they, didn't they? Like a total mystery. But no, it comes back in. It shows you the road they're on before they ever got in it. We're past their mother's memorial thing, and yeah, they come out and they're just elated. They just like, we made it. You know what I mean? Just done. I actually did think, in a way, I thought it might actually have been better just to leave it there, just at that moment when it had gone through, and to leave us completely in the dark about what, whether they made it or not, just the unknown about what the outcome was. But yeah, then it after it shows you them being ecstatic that they've made it, it flips back to the camp, and it shows you all the campers. They've obviously, the resets happened, they're there, and they know this. I think this confirms for me that they know they're in a time loop. Well, actually, there's a few other things that have confirmed it, but they stand in there looking at the sort of, towards the exit of the camp, and they're sort of looking. You can't quite tell what they're thinking on the faces, but I think they are sort of relieved that the brothers made it out. I think that's what I got from their sort of facial expressions and that. And then it flicks back to the brothers in the car, and they realised they've got no fuel left in the tank in the car, and they're talking about, you know, how it's empty. And I think this is just a little symbolism bit of what they say is that the older brother, who would normally take charge of everything and be in control and sort everything out and hold his brother's hand almost, it just is sort of, he says to his brother, like, you know, okay, well, you sort it out. And it's just him sort of saying, look, you've got the responsibility now, you do it. I'll let you make your decisions, and I'll let you make decisions for us. And yeah. And then we just see a shot of the distance as what they're looking at as they're driving. You just see the one moon. And I think that means confirmation that everything's back to normal again. And then you fade to black, and that's the end of the film. But to sum it up, really, like I said, I haven't planned this at all. I didn't plan on making this right here, right now. So I've got no, you know, I'm not got no script, or I don't normally have a script anyway, but I've put a bit more thought into it. But it's just, if anyone has heard of it and hasn't got around to watching it, just do it. Just get a copy as soon as you can and watch it, and just watch it in awe for the writing and the script, you know, the complexity of the script, and the just the idea they've come up with for this film. You know, just the whole sort of story. It's really something you've got to put so much thought into. You know, you can't. It's not just one of these films where you can turn your brain off and just, you know, you've got to think about all the different bits and everything you're presented with, all the little plot threads. It's a mystery. You're like, well, how is this possible? How does this work? How does this fit in with where the story's going? And then when things come to light, you're like, well, hold on, is this the explanation for that, or is that the explanation for that? And then you have to fit it in with everything else, and it's just you just need to watch it very carefully, listen very carefully, and just put it together in your head. And like I said, I'm not even sure I've done that yet. Everything I've said in this video, that I think this is why that's happening, or that's why, it might be different. I haven't nailed it at all. I've just put it how I think it is, and there's no guarantee I've got it right. You might watch it and put different plot threads together and make something more of it. But it's good that there's things left open for you to wonder about, because I don't like it when films tie things up nicely in a little, you know, neat little package. I like it left to the imagination. But yeah, I'm still thinking, even now, my brain's racing, and I'm thinking, well, I mean, does the rest of the world know that this place exists, and what do they see? You know, this is obviously this area, that there's all these different domes with all these different time resets going on. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Do they see anything going on where this apocalyptic stuff was going on? Do they see anything like that? If there was a camera they're watching, could it see? Or is it just in such a remote location that no one's ever picked up on this? And, you know, and is it, and again, like I said earlier, the reason the people in the camp, they're supposed to be older than they look, because they're supposed to be in their 40s or 50s, and most of them look in their 30s. Sometimes even, yeah, some of them even younger probably. Now, I'm guessing every single time it's reset, they just go back to what they looked like before, at the beginning of the reset, you know? I don't know. The creature thing, what is the creature? Where's the creature from? What's the origin of that? Does it ever materialize into a solid being, or is it just, you know, invisible in the mist and the air? Is it just smoke? Is it just a noise? What are the extent of its powers? Where did it come from? You know what I mean? All these things just left thinking. And going back to the People's Age again, I just thought about, I mean, I wonder how long the time reset is for these main guys in the camp, Acadia, whatever, because obviously these brothers have been left for 10 years. I mean, and they were there from when they were kids. So they must have been there for a good 10, 15, 20 years to begin with, and they never experienced this time reset. So how long is the time reset there? And have the camp experienced a time reset since the brothers left? Or have they just been living a constant life and now is the reset? You know what I mean? I just don't know. And maybe this creature wanted the brothers back there for the reset, and that's why it sent the package to them of the video, but did it? How does it send a package through the post? I don't know. I could sit here all day and just come up with more what ifs, but I'm probably getting repetitive now. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave it there. I have talked for long enough. My throat's hurting. But I urge you to, like I said when I first started this channel, there are not many people are watching. I knew they wouldn't. That's fine. I don't mind that. But if just one of you is listening and have never heard of the Endless, and it sounds like your type of thing, just watch it. I'm just glad I could have, enlightened you about it, and let it be known that there's a film called The Endless, and that's what it's about. So yeah, go and watch it. Definitely go and watch it. Find out where you can get hold of it and enjoy it, because you will enjoy it. So I'll leave it there now. Thank you for listening to my run through of The Endless, and yeah, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio.